Hello and welcome to the Race Asylum YouTube channel. So this time we're looking at the track guide for the Team Tourers for this week, which is at Suzuka and has kindly been done for us by King Ears. So I'll hand you straight over to him now then.
Right, hello guys, welcome to my track guide for Suzuka in the Group 4 cars. I've picked the Jaguar F-Type for this one. So the East Course, not one I'm particularly familiar with, mainly the last corner because it's a bit of a pain in my opinion because it just tightens up on the exit. But for turn 1 at Suzuka, you want to start braking at the 50-metre board or this access road. It's always a good marker, and then you want to try and trail brake the car in, following the nice tarmac lines that have been left, probably from all the Formula One cars over the years. Normally I get to this green bit on the curb on the exit, that's when I know I can get on the power safely and not run wide on the exit. Going into the S's, probably the trickiest bit. I don't really have a reference for this one, it's just kind of following the tarmac lines that are on the road there. You can use the black bit on the right, sort of a bit after that is probably when I'd start braking initially to turn in. But through the S's here, it's just all about carrying speed basically. There's two ways of doing it. You can either just use the throttle control and not touch the brake, or the way I tend to do it is just little dabs of brake just to bring the car in for this corner. Especially you want to tug or hug as far to the right as possible to make Dunlop curve here a lot nicer, especially when you're doing the main track. This last corner again is very fiddly. I'm probably about here when I tap the brakes, chuck it in, and yeah, not a fan of this corner because if it's downhill it tightens up, but normally sort of, yeah, I'll try and explain it as I go around. It's not one I've done a lot, so, and it's very short as well, it's like a 50-second lap. So turn 1, access road on the right, brake, trail the car in, try and follow the road round, come to the inside, start end of the curb on the power, and then that black bit again down to third, and you just want to be following the mark on the road basically. That is the ideal line through the S's. Just try and keep to the right here to open up the corner, come to the inside, and then on brake now, turn in, and try and bring it round for the pit bit there. I don't even know what that bit is. And then yeah, that's pretty much it for a lap here. It's so short and sweet, it's just, I think the main bit is carrying speed up through the S's. So again, turn 1, 50-metre, brake, get the car over to the right, end of the curb on the power. Following it all the way around. So if you keep to the tyre marks on the road, you can't really go wrong. This one, a lot of people go too wide, I think. I stay nice and tight to the right. Over, brake, try and hit that apex, which I actually did this time. There's not really much to it, this layout, unfortunately. Overtaking opportunities are very sparse. Turn 1 is probably the best place, but it's also very tricky. It's so easy to get this corner wrong and go wide out there. As we know, it sucks Suzuka if you're out there on the AstroTurf or off the track itself. There's no grip and you just end up spinning generally. Yeah, it's mainly just trying to carry the speed through the S's here. Try and keep the car to the right. And then you want to try and keep it left there for coming into here. You don't really want to be on that grass on the inside because it will make the car slide. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the East course, I'm afraid. There's only a few corners. To say there's not really any opportunity to overtake on this track. But you're basically going to be waiting for mistakes in the race, I think. But hopefully that's a bit of help to you. Obviously the main track will be coming up in a minute, and that definitely will be a bit more educational, shall we say. But no, thank you very much. Cheers. Right guys, now for the GP circuit, which I'm hoping might be a bit more enlightening. Turn 1 again, using the access road or the 50-metre board. On your left, following the tarmac lines through the corner, trail braking if possible. You want to be sort of over here if you can, but you're kind of flirting with death a little bit if you go so far over to the left. End of the curb, the green there, look, straight on the power. S's again, this is going to be car dependent, I think. But like I said before, it's just about carrying the speed as much as possible through here. Follow the line, keep to the right on this one. End of the curb is, well, it's not even the end of the curb, generally get on the power just before the end. Now Dunlop, tricky corner, because if you go out on the right there, you are very likely to die, and that's pretty much going to be your race over. Degner 1, 50-metre board. In this car, it's a 4th gear corner. You want to be cutting as much as possible the inside of this corner without obviously taking too much. I think if you still keep your 2 right wheels on the green part of the curb there, you won't get a penalty. But don't quote me on that, because I've not done too many races here on 7. Degner 2, you want to be braking probably about here. I like to use the sort of scuff marks on the AstroTurf that you can see there. I use this first one generally, so start on the brakes. This is the tighter of the 2 corners, probably 3rd gear in this. Again, try and cut here. You don't want to be too early on the power, because you'll end up on the AstroTurf and at the gravel, and more than likely hit the wall there that's under the bridge. Going into the hairpin, brake marker for this is on the right. You have a nice little man stood there. That's what I tend to use. Again, it's just a reference, you don't have to just brake on him, but depending on what tyres you're on, you can know. Very slow corner. I like to take it tight and then get on the power as soon as possible. Everyone's obviously different lines through there. Heading up towards Spoon Curve. Very tricky corner. This is another place where if you go wide you will end up spinning, so I use the access road here on the right as my brake marker. And then you want to try and take this line through the corner if you can. You do want to be over to the right as far as you dare go, really, and then bring it over to the left end of the curb on the power, so ideally you're not all over the AstroTurf on the right there on the exit. 130R. Some cars may be flat, others may not be. It's going to totally depend on what you're driving. But the 50-metre board on the right there, that's where you want to start turning in, basically. And yeah, over to the right, coming into the Casio triangle, should be the 100-metre board there on the left. Right, for the first bit, as long as you keep 2 right wheels on the green part of the curb there, you're fine. The exit, you can really take liberties. As long as your right wheels are about here, you will not get a penalty. And there's a lot of lap time to be gained there if you can get that right. But again, it's a fine line between nailing it and getting a penalty, and as we know, the penalty system can be a little bit fiddly in the game. So turn 1, let's go for a flying lap, see what happens. Access road, brake, down through the gears, over to the right, end of the curb on the power, and over to the right hand side. I don't have a brake marker for this at all, really. It's just I gauge it by eye, visible, seeing how far I am from the corner, how much speed I'm going. here, keep to the right as possible to open up Dunlop curb. Over to the right again, you have to flirt with the grass a little bit for the ideal line there. Drift out to the right but not too far. Then Degner 1, so 50 metres on the brakes, chuck it in, and those marks on the Astro on the left. On the power up to the hairpin. Remember, we've got the little man on the right, which is, there he is. Down to second gear, turn in, on the power as soon as possible. Heading up towards Spoon Curve. I like to stay nice and tight to the right through here. So remember, access road on the right hand side. Brake. Drift over to the right, then back in. End of the curb on the power. Then heading up towards 130R, which I've already tried in this car. I do need to lift slightly, otherwise I'm going to drift wide. So, little lift. Try and gauge. There we go, run wide. It's definitely not as deadly on this game though as it was on Sport. So you can kind of recover. And then yeah, definitely really cut that last part of the Casio Triangle chicane there. Corley, oh, it did give me a track limit. Okay. I thought I'd have been fine there, but obviously not. But yeah, it's obviously a little bit of practice to get the ideal line through that corner. But yeah, 50 metre brake, kind of trail the car in, bring it over to the right hand side, end of the curb on the power. I suppose, yeah, that 50 bit, the black bit on the barrier there could be used because there's not a lot of reference points for that corner. Like I said before, if you just keep within these tyre marks that are on the track, you should be pretty good for the right line. Dunlop corner, I normally do a little lift, because otherwise if you get on the power and hold it around the corner, you're going to end up wide over on the right hand side. Degner 150, little bit of brake, fourth gear down, marks on the left there on the Astro, then down the gear again. Up towards the hairpin, our little friend on the right. On the power. Spoon curve. Coming up. For penalties here, you really don't want to be getting them. So I suppose with the Casio Triangle, you want to be playing it, I suppose, a bit safe, because this is where the penalty zone is here. It's on the straight heading up to 130R, which is not ideal. You're just going to lose so much time. Overtaking opportunities I will run through when I serve my penalty for being naughty. And get through to the start of the lap. To watch that curb if you go on it on the right on the exit. If you got the power, sometimes it will spin the car. So overtaking, turn one is definitely an opportunity. Most people will defend the right hand side, which means you've then got to go around the outside, which is possible but very, very risky. Through the S's is generally single file. I have seen people go for moves here, but it does tend to just slow everyone down so much trying to go side by side through these corners. Because one minute you've got the inside line, then you're on the outside line, then you've got the inside line. So generally single file is best. Same again for Dunlop here. It's better off not being side by side there, because if you're on the outside, you're just more than likely going to end up off on the grass. Degner 1, again, I really wouldn't advise overtaking here unless you have to go for a move. Same with Degner 2. The only real opportunity is probably coming up into the hairpin. You can definitely outbrake someone. Go up the inside, keep it tight. and then out drag them on the way up to Spoon, which can be an overtaking opportunity, but I think you need the other driver to be very compliant and actually concede that they're not gonna, because they don't want to be on the outside. So if you're here and you've got a car on your outside, they're not going to want to go through the corner side by side, to be honest, because more than likely they're going to end up off the track and spinning and losing a lot of time. So you can try and do it. It's a very tricky move to pull off from experience. Again, heading down towards 130R, you can, if you can get on the inside of someone, you can make an overtake here, but again, you need the driver to be very compliant and either back out or just, they need to give you a lot of space to try and get through here side by side. Because otherwise one car's going to end up over there on the right. Casio Triangle again, you can outbrake someone into here. It's probably one of the better overtaking opportunities, if I'm honest. But yeah, Suzuka is a track that you do need the other car to be very aware of where you are, what they think you're going to be doing, and think, well, is it worth my time to battle this overtake and we'll both lose time, or if I just let them go, I can follow them. If they make mistakes, then yes, I might be able to get back past them at a later point in the race. So yeah, I'll just go for another bit of a quicker lap. So yeah, all about carrying the speed. Like I've said before with the short guide, the aliens in the world will just be using the throttle pedal here. They won't even be touching the brake. It's all throttle control, but I'm not an alien. Again, you want to get on the power early, but not drift over to the right too far. Degner 1 is very much bravery. Turn in, marks on the left, brake again, third gear, on the power as soon as possible. Over to the right using our little friend, hello there, down to second, first for a bit of extra rotation, back up to second, on the power nice and early. Carry the speed all the way on up to Spoon. Because from experience of doing a lot of time trialling here in the past, a lot of lap time is either lost or gained at the hairpin, especially with the exit. Spoon again, the access road on the right, down a gear, turn in, down another gear, drift over to the right, end of the curb, turn in again to the left, end of the curb on the power. It's very, you find that a lot with a lot of tracks. You can generally just use either the start of the curb or an end of a curb as a reference point for when to either be braking or getting on the power. Again, the 50 metre in this car, ooh, she's a bit understeery, the old Jag. 100 metres, but that was a bit late. Which you don't want to be doing and going on that green stuff there, because it's an absolute nightmare to get off of. On your qualifying lap, you want to keep to the right hand side and hug the wall as tight as possible. Obviously, if you're starting a flying lap, you want to be over to the left and try and carry as much speed as possible. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Suzuka. I think it's a track that we're all pretty much familiar with. Yeah, the Astro is definitely more forgiving on this game. But yeah, I think it's a track that we're all familiar with. It's a real world track, so those of us who follow Formula One will be aware of it and have probably driven it a lot on sport in the past. But I hope that's been of some help to some of you guys, and I will see you next time. Take care, goodbye.
So thanks to King Gears for that track guide now then. Hopefully it helps you out. Don't forget to comment, like and subscribe, and we'll see you for the next one.